Hello, welcome to SSGTV South Sudan Global. Strong dominant party in Africa. Why Chama Mapinduzi CCM in Tanzania rules for several years after Tanzania gained independence. Will SPLM in South Sudan really cling to power for so long? In this video, we will look at the strong dominant party in Africa by looking at the dominant political parties in Kenya, Zambia, and Tanzania to determine whether Sudan People's Liberation Movement SPLM party, which is the current ruling dominant party in South Sudan, still has the capacity to rule South Sudan for more years, if not 100 years, as President Kiir claimed back then, like CCM in Tanzania. If you have not yet subscribed, please do so in order to not miss future informative videos. Dominant parties are central power holders for a long period of time. In other words, those political parties that have overstayed in power, for instance, the African National Congress ANC in South Africa and Chama Mapinduzi CCM in Tanzania. So let's compare and contrast the behaviors of the political parties that liberated the three countries, because dominant political parties in Kenya and Zambia lost power long time ago, whereas the CCM in Tanzania never lost power since 1970s. Why? It is good to note that the three countries of Kenya, Zambia, and Tanzania moved from single-party system in the 1970s and 1980s to multi-party elections by the 1990s, around the same time. So why did CCM remain so dominant in Tanzania, but the previously dominant party in Kenya or in Zambia was unable to remain in power? After gaining independence, dominant parties in Kenya, Zambia, and Tanzania, as in the rest of Africa, won single-party elections. However, when the multi-party elections were introduced in the 1990s, the dominant parties started losing elections in Kenya and Zambia. So what are the reasons that made some dominant parties in Africa lose power after their countries gained independence few years after independence? There are a lot of reasons, but there is one main reason which, if the ruling party does not avoid, it will definitely lose power, like Kenya African National Union, KANU in Kenya, and United National Independence Party, UNIP in Zambia. Let us look at the general reason before coming down to that one key reason responsible for their fall from power. One of the reasons why the dominant parties that led their countries to independence fall after independence is the effect of colonial legacy in shaping the dominant party. Tanzania took a political stance of breaking up with the colonial legacy by elevating the ruling party in 1967 through the Arusha Declaration, which advocated for the policies of socialism and self-reliance as its blueprint for development, unlike in Kenya and Zambia, which maintained close ties with their former colonial masters. SPLM-led government also seemed to be maintaining ties with the policies of the National Congress Party, NCP, in the Sudan, or the colonial tendencies of the Khartoum regimes, which the South Sudanese resisted. The second reason why a dominant party like SPLM in South Sudan might not rule for so long is what is called the theory of the tyranny of small decisions, non-decisions, and not decisions. This is a theory that states that small, negligible political mistakes in the party over time may materialize into compounding political effects that could make the dominant party lose elections or dominance. The mistakes involve a range of issues that could be linked to the presidential succession crisis and internal party democracy or internal governance. Pretty much this theory influenced the electoral outcome in Zambia in the multi-party elections that brought MMD to power due to fragmentation experienced by UNIP dominant party. Thirdly, lack of ideological foundation of the dominant party. Research underscored that KANU in Kenya was not a party in the conventional sense of offering ideological or programmatic alternatives to the Kenyan electorate. The party existed only in name and played no role in the policy-making process, let alone defining the nation's value, an ideology later inherited by Daniel Arap Moi, who succeeded Jomo Kenyatta. Also, to some extent, ethnic identification has formed the basis of policies and political organization over the years in Kenya during the KANU regime as opposed to Tanzania. What exactly is the main reason why CCM in Tanzania continues to remain darling to people of Tanzania several years after independence as opposed to KANU in Kenya and UNIP in Zambia? A dominant party may be issue-based, has access to public resources, or does not face severe ethnic divisions, but unless it well knows how to manage its internal conflict or political secession, that party is doomed to fail. In other words, if the party can peacefully share the power among its principles, then the rest of the party issues such as ethnic cleavage can definitely fall in place. It is how CCM manages intensified factionalisms in its presidential nomination process that is crucial. Political succession, the process through which an incumbent president retires and a successor is chosen, frequently degenerates into intestine conflict, and that political fragmentation stemming from mismanaged succession crisis has contributed to changes of government in Kenya and Zambia. If the party's president is not willing to accept institutional reform by moving from charismatic to legal bureaucratic modes of internal governance, or else there will be split in the party. Presidential succession crises are destabilizing, which open conflict over matters of procedural integrity, candidate selection and eligibility, campaigning techniques, party leaders exercising a monopoly over the formulation and implementation of policy, among others. These squabbles often act as a catalyst to political party fragmentation. Throughout the decades, UNIP in Zambia had experienced constant internal tensions, and same to MMD. Not after taking office, MMD experienced severe strains among the leading group that soon led to defections, including some notable ministers who formed the National Party, NP. Kaunda, with his sense of purpose to build one Zambia, one nation, feared that tribal conflict could pull UNIP apart. From early on, Kaunda reckoned the opposing parties, including breakaway parties from UNIP, would politicize tribal and ethnic differences in order to draw votes. A conflict between Kenneth Kaunda and Levi Mwanawasa in 1987 within the UNIP, just before Kaunda reluctantly approved the creation of opposition parties in 1990, forced Levi Mwanawasa to join the MMD headed by Frederick Chiluba. Mwanawasa was one of many who came to grips with the UNIP government and its leader because the list of MMD candidates in the 1991 elections makes it tempting to conclude that in 28 years in office, Kaunda managed to sack, detain, humiliate, or otherwise frustrate enough individuals to form an opposition. Mwanawasa and Chiluba later undermined each other by disapproving each other's policies within MMD, and this tended to weaken the MMD. Sometimes, fear of assassination due to conflict in the party could add to existing fears and confusion in relation to its supporters. The process for selecting party candidates for presidential election matters a lot, as it is one of the root causes of internal party conflict. This can be seen actually within the SPLM party, the internal conflict that led to civil war in South Sudan. CCM process of selecting party candidates is highly democratized It is an inclusive leadership transition as opposed to UNIP and KANU. This is why Chama Mapinduzi continue to remain so dominant in Tanzania or never lost elections. CCM uses more democratic and clientelist methods to preserve itself as a ruling party and ensures that vertical accountability is observed should the party become passive to electoral need or in offering a meaningful alternative. If the dominant party is built on personality basis, the party loses since this agitates disagreement among its members. In 2002, for instance, President Daniel Arap Moi, when he was retiring from politics after being barred from running for third term or going for third termisms, chose the current president of Kenya, Uhuru Kenyatta, to be the KANU flag bearer. BOA reported that Mr. Moi's choice of Mr. Kenyatta caused a split in the ruling party, with some top KANU officials leaving the party to form the opposition Rainbow Alliance, the National Rainbow Coalition, Kenya, NAC Kenya. UNIP did not contest 2008 presidential by-election, but nominated Tileji Kaunda as its presidential candidate for the 2011 election, who lost, probably because his nomination was not inclusive. Hence, it made it daunting to convince the voters. You may ask, will UNIP and KANU return to political competitiveness? Several variables are having an important impact on the extent to which formerly dominant parties successfully return to political competitiveness. Unless the transition process involves the generation of new ideas, alternative people reform program, mobilization of people across ethnic and other lines, as well as issues of gender equality and the promotion of new work culture, accountability, accommodation, and a new commitment to productivity, liberal democracy, will make little or no difference, but the political future of the African politics can sometimes be unpredictable. Things might turn out in unexpected ways. In this video, we have presented the variables responsible for CCM continued dominance in Tanzania versus those challenges failing the dominant parties in Kenya and Zambia. The truth lies in the fact that CCM in Tanzania well manages the internal party democracy, whereas UNIP and KANU became bankrupt on ideas of how to pull the party together. And this is what seemed to be for the SPLM. Fragmentation crisis is a big threat to the dominant party. A break within the ranks of the party may take away votes or seats from the dominant party. The fragmentation and internal weaknesses of the opposition parties create a strong opportunity for the ruling party to continue in power for a considerable period of time. Personality clashes among the founder members of the party or serious ideological differences, usually when elections are at the corner, splits or weaken the party. Stress the party mechanics or party rules to consolidate the formal ground, because the more institutionalized the party becomes, the more disciplined the party members become, making it hard for other parties to beat the dominant party. Personal rules or the big man rule or authoritarianisms fail the dominant party. Without checks and balances or vertical accountability, confidence in the internal party democracy is undermined and increases the prospect of political conflict within the party. Respect for party electoral rules means that party members are not politically marginalized. It quite seems that over time, the UNIP and KANU might dissipate. In fact, not much is heard by the citizens about the existence of KANU in Kenya. Changing the status quo would require the dominant parties in Kenya and Zambia to exercise philosophical thinking to correct many political messes ailing them and get back to their strong political positions. The party should improve political knowledge through party discipline, norms, confidence and trust building, and leadership nomination criteria to minimize the conflict, thus keeping the dominant party united and strong. The party would always face a range of internal conflicts, but what is of substance is how those conflicts are managed to avoid disintegration of the party. Peaceful transfer of internal party leadership akin to CCM's elongates and strengthens the lifespan of the dominant party. But despite the fact that SPLM may look weakened by its split, unless the opposition parties unite or form alliances in order to establish a few strong parties, they will not be able to challenge the ruling party or the SPLM, even if it means many South Sudanese have lost confidence in the SPLM party. There is a need to improve the size, quality, and internal functioning of the opposition parties in order to be competitive or to be able to unseat the SPLM. Please let us know your thoughts in the comment section below, and remember to subscribe for future informative videos. Please let us know your thoughts in the comment section below, and remember to subscribe to South Sudan Global for our upcoming informative videos.